You're out.
Oh, kick that.
You need to man up, put me in a bed.
He cheated death twice, flipped his car 6 times in one of drag racing's most horrific crashes, and walked away from accidents that should have killed him. And now, Daddy Dave Comstock is back with a machine so powerful, so revolutionary, that it's changing everything we thought we knew about no-prep racing. What's this machine all about, and why is it considered revolutionary? Join us as we dive deep into Daddy Dave's incredible journey from near-death experiences to cutting-edge innovation, the Amarillo Nightmare. On August 1st, 2015 in Amarillo Dragway, Texas, Daddy Dave was behind the wheel of Goliath, his brand-new nitrous-fed Chevy 2 Nova that had been completed just weeks earlier. It was a no-prep race, meaning the track had no traction compound sprayed down, making it more like racing on a public road than a prepped drag strip. The conditions were sketchy, but Dave had built his reputation on handling sketchy. The race started normally. Dave launched hard, the nitrous kicking in as Goliath rocketed down the track. But then, just past 60 feet, something went terribly wrong. The car shot to the right, hit the dirty median, and took a violent left turn directly toward the concrete wall. The impact was catastrophic. Goliath slammed into the barrier and immediately went airborne. The car didn't just flip once or twice, it barrel rolled 6 times through the air, metal twisting and shattering with each rotation. Pieces of the car flew in every direction. The front end was mangled beyond recognition. And inside that tumbling wreckage was Dave, experiencing forces that would have killed most people. Track workers and fellow racers immediately rushed to the wreckage, not knowing if they'd find Dave alive or dead. When they finally pried open what was left of the door, they found him conscious but severely injured. Dave's wife, Cassie, posted updates from the hospital that revealed the full extent of his injuries. He suffered a serious concussion so severe that he couldn't remember anything about the crash or even where he was. He had a bruised lung from the impact. His body was covered in bumps and bruises. And most terrifyingly, one of the nitrous bottles had come free from its mount during the crash, shooting out the side window propelled by a nearly full charge of escaping gas. The bottle struck Dave in the head on its way out, contributing to the concussion that left him with memory loss. But here's what made the crash even more dangerous. Dave's seat and seatbelt failed during the violent barrel rolls. Dave was essentially being thrown around inside a tumbling metal cage, unprotected, at the mercy of physics that should have killed him. He was kept in the hospital for at least 24 hours for observation. The medical team needed to ensure there was no internal bleeding, no brain swelling that could turn fatal hours after the initial trauma. What happened to Goliath? The car was destroyed beyond repair. The battered remains were eventually parked behind Dave's shop, Comstock Auto Service in Edmond, Oklahoma. The contorted metal served as a grim memorial to the crash, a reminder of the violence Dave had endured and somehow survived. Fellow racers who saw the wreckage couldn't believe anyone walked away from it. But the physical injuries were just part of the story. When Dave was finally released from the hospital and placed on complete bed rest, he had to struggle with psychological trauma. He nearly died doing what he loved. His brand new car, the one he'd poured countless hours and resources into building, was scrap metal, and he faced a choice: walk away from racing forever or rebuild and get back behind the wheel. He went with the latter option, but he didn't just build another Goliath. He built Goliath 2.0, incorporating safety lessons learned from the crash. The new car featured stock steel doors instead of fiberglass for better structural integrity. The floor was made from carbon fiber and titanium for weight savings without compromising strength. The heavy glass was replaced with featherweight pieces from optic armor. Every component was re-engineered with survival in mind. But Goliath 2.0 wasn't invincible. 6 years later, Dave would face another crash that proved his 9 lives were running out when Goliath 2.0 met the wall. In July 2021, Daddy Dave was competing in a No Prep Kings event, the high-stakes touring series that had become Street Outlaws' premier competition platform. He was driving Goliath 2.0, the rebuilt Chevy 2 that had carried him through countless races since the Amarillo disaster. And then, in a moment that felt like déjà vu, everything went sideways again. Dave lost control of the car after crossing the finish line. Instead of safely slowing down, Goliath 2.0 took an unplanned right turn and slammed into the guardrail. The impact was violent, but unlike Amarillo, this crash didn't involve multiple barrel rolls. The car hit hard, spun, and came to rest against the barrier. Track workers rushed to the scene, and this time, when they opened the door, Dave gave them a thumbs up. Dave walked away from a crash that, 6 years earlier, might have put him back in the hospital. The difference? Everything he'd learned from Amarillo had been incorporated into Goliath 2.0's design. The safety systems worked exactly as intended, protecting Dave even when the car failed. But Dave being physically okay didn't mean everything was fine. In a video posted to his YouTube channel days later, he explained what happened with brutal honesty. To put it shortly, we had a shitty weekend. Right after the 8th mile, I got loose, turned sideways on me really quickly, and I could not recover it, and we blasted the wall. The analysis revealed something crucial. This wasn't mechanical failure or track conditions. This was a driver error. Dave had a lapse in concentration and delayed deploying the parachutes, the critical safety system that slows down cars traveling at extreme speeds. That split-second delay meant the car was still moving too fast when it reached the end of the track, and when it broke loose, Dave couldn't save it. But watching the 2021 crash footage next to the 2015 Amarillo disaster reveals something profound. The crashes look similar, both involving loss of control and violent wall impacts. But the outcomes were night and day different. In 2015, Dave barely survived with serious injuries. In 2021, he walked away, giving a thumbs up. The evolution in safety technology and car design had quite literally saved his life. However, 2 major crashes in 6 years forced Dave to confront an uncomfortable reality. Goliath, in both iterations, had nearly killed him. The Chevy 2 platform, while iconic and beloved by fans, carried risks that were becoming impossible to ignore. And with No Prep Kings competition getting faster, more intense, and more dangerous every season, continuing with the same setup felt like tempting fate. After the 2021 crash, Dave faced another crossroads moment. He could rebuild Goliath 2.0 again, make it even safer, and continue with what he knew. Or he could make a radical change, abandoning the car that had defined his Street Outlaws career for something completely different, something that would give him a competitive edge while dramatically improving his chances of surviving the next inevitable crash. The decision wasn't easy. Goliath had become synonymous with Daddy Dave. Fans associated him with that Chevy 2 as much as they associated Big Chief with the Crow or Murder Nova with Sean Ellington's car. Walking away from Goliath meant walking away from part of his identity. But staying with it meant accepting that the next crash might be the one he didn't walk away from. What Dave decided to do next shocked the Street Outlaws community and changed no prep racing forever. The Audi Revolution. At the SEMA show in Las Vegas, the automotive industry's biggest trade event, Daddy Dave stood in the fuel tech booth beside a car no one expected, a jaw-dropping red Audi S5. The Street Outlaws community collectively lost its mind. Purpose-built for No Prep Kings competition by Tynan Race Cars, the Audi S5 represented everything Dave had learned from 2 near-death experiences. The car was powered by a ProCharger-boosted XRE Hemi built upon a 565 cubic-inch Noonan engine platform, producing over 3,000 horsepower. That's more power than the original Goliath. Packaged in a more aerodynamic body with modern safety features, that the vintage Chevy 2 could never match. Dave shared that Tynan Race Cars was largely responsible for choosing the Audi body, finished in a factory Mazda color that Cassie had selected. The car rolled on polished RC components wheels that contributed to significant weight savings compared to traditional steel wheels. Every component was chosen for maximum performance and safety. But why an Audi? In the live unveiling at SEMA, Dave told the audience something revealing. He built the car to beat Ryan Martin. While said partly in jest, there was truth behind it. Ryan Martin had become the dominant force in No Prep Kings, consistently winning championships while Dave struggled to match his success. The Audi represented a complete reset, a chance to level the playing field with cutting-edge technology and a platform specifically designed for no-prep competition. The decision to abandon Goliath wasn't just about competition, though. It was about survival. Modern cars like the Audi S5 have crumple zones, better structural integrity, and safety features that 1960s muscle cars simply don't possess. In a crash, the Audi would protect Dave in ways Goliath never could. After 2 major accidents, that protection was worth more than nostalgia. Fan reaction was mixed. Purists complained that Dave was abandoning his roots, that the Audi didn't have the character or street credibility of Goliath. Others praised the move as necessary evolution, recognizing that no prep racing in 2022 demanded modern solutions. The debates raged across social media and Street Outlaws forums. But Dave didn't build the Audi to please fans. He built it to win races and survive crashes. The Audi also represented a philosophical shift. Goliath had been about brute force, an old-school muscle car mentality applied to modern no-prep competition. The Audi was about precision, data-driven tuning, and modern engineering solving ancient problems of traction and control. Dave was embracing EFI over carburetors, computer tuning over gut instinct, German engineering over American muscle. Critics pointed out that the Audi made Dave look like he was chasing trends rather than setting them. Other racers had already moved to modern platforms, and Dave was late to the party. But Dave understood something his critics didn't. He wasn't racing for legacy or to maintain some purist vision of what street racing should be. He was racing to win, to survive, and to prove that even after 2 massive crashes, he could still compete at the highest level. The cleanest car on the racing track, fans called it, when Dave finally debuted the Audi at events. The build quality was exceptional, the paint was flawless, and the attention to detail showed that Dave had put everything he learned from building multiple Goliaths into creating something new. But having a beautiful car means nothing if it can't perform when the tree drops. Dave's first real test in the Audi would prove whether the gamble was genius or disaster. First NPK Invitational, win at Beach Bend. The moment arrived at Beach Bend Raceway Park in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Daddy Dave eased the Audi S5 toward the line, chasing an invitational win that had haunted his career. He'd been chasing this specific victory for years, coming close, but never quite capturing that checkered flag at an invitational. The pressure was immense. Fans were watching to see if the Audi gamble would pay off. Competitors were hungry to beat the new car, and Dave needed to prove to himself that abandoning Goliath was the right call. The Audi launched hard, the ProCharger screaming as 3,000-plus horsepower hit the unprepped surface. Dave had spent months learning the car's characteristics, understanding how it responded differently than Goliath, and adapting his driving style to match the Audi's capabilities. All that preparation came together in one perfect event. Round after round, Dave advanced. The Audi was hooking consistently, something that had plagued him in previous seasons. The suspension setup was working exactly as designed, managing the violent power application without breaking loose or getting squirrely mid-track. And Dave's confidence was growing with each pass. When the final round ended and Dave stood in the winner's circle, the emotion was palpable. This wasn't just another win. This was validation. validation that switching platforms was the right decision and that after 2 horrific crashes and years of rebuilding, Daddy Dave could still compete at the absolute highest level. What made the victory even sweeter was how dominant the Audi had been throughout the event. This wasn't a lucky win, where everything barely came together. The car was fast, consistent, and controllable. Dave had found a setup that worked, and the fuel-tech electronics were providing the precise tuning needed to adjust for changing track conditions throughout the day. In 2023, Dave finished strong in NPK competition, securing sponsorship deals with companies like Stage 8, a renowned manufacturer of locking fasteners. The new sponsors recognized what the win at Beach Bend proved. Daddy Dave was back as a legitimate title contender, not just a nostalgic fan favorite trading on past glory. But Dave didn't stop evolving. The 2023 season taught him more about the Audi's capabilities and limitations. He continued refining the setup, testing different shock configurations, experimenting with tire pressures and wing angles. The car that won at Beach Bend was already being improved for 2024 and beyond. And then came the discovery that changed everything, the technology Dave just confirmed he's using that's giving him an unfair advantage: QA1 mod shocks and the setup secret. The 2024 to 2025 season changed everything. After years of hard lessons on the track, Daddy Dave confirmed he'd found a missing piece: QA1 mod series 4-way adjustable shocks, applied in a way that's leaving rivals searching for answers. Here's why this matters. No prep racing presents unique challenges that traditional drag racing doesn't face. Unprepped surfaces mean traction is unpredictable. Track conditions change throughout the day as rubber gets laid down and temperatures fluctuate. Bumps and imperfections that wouldn't matter on a prepped track can send a car airborne or sideways at 180 miles per hour. The suspension has to manage all of this while still allowing the car to launch violently off the line. The QA1 Mod series shocks feature 4-way adjustability, meaning Dave can tune compression and rebound separately for both high-speed and low-speed events. Think about what that means in practical terms. When the car launches, that's low-speed compression. The shocks absorb the violent weight transfer as 3,000 horsepower hits the tires. Mid-track bumps are high-speed compression. The shocks need to react instantly to keep the tires planted. Coming off the throttle requires different rebound characteristics than accelerating. Traditional shocks force racers to compromise. You tune for the launch, and the mid-track suffers. You tune for mid-track stability, and the launch gets inconsistent. The 4-way adjustability eliminates that compromise, allowing Dave to optimize for every phase of the quarter-mile pass. Dave tested the QA1 Mod shocks over the 2024 to 2025 winter, preparing for small tire slick and radial tire action. The Audi was already versatile, capable of running multiple tire combinations, but the new shock technology unlocked even more potential. Dave could now switch between 36-inch slicks, 28 by 10.5s, and 275 radials without completely rebuilding the suspension. Just adjustments, precise, repeatable adjustments based on data rather than guesswork. In April 2025, QA1 published a testimonial from Daddy Dave about the Mod series shocks. The endorsement wasn't paid promotion fluff. It was a detailed technical explanation from someone who'd pushed the limits of suspension technology and found equipment that actually delivered on its promises. Dave explained that the Audi was built to excel in 2 wildly different racing environments: big tire no prep on unprepared surfaces, and small tire racing on sticky radial prepped tracks. These environments are worlds apart in chassis tuning and suspension setup approach. With 3,500 horsepower on tap, the suspension components needed to delicately balance power application under incredibly harsh conditions. The 4-way adjustable Mod series shocks helped manage both the violent hit of launch and the mid-track bumps that could turn a pass into a disaster. Dave had been upside down before. He knew exactly what happened when suspension failed to do its job. The QA1 shocks represented insurance against repeating those catastrophic failures. But here's what Dave confirmed that changes everything. He's using the shock data to inform tuning decisions across the entire car. The shocks aren't just suspension components. They're diagnostic tools that tell him exactly what the car is doing at every point in the run. That information feeds back into engine tuning, wing adjustments, tire pressure decisions, and launch RPM settings. Other racers have adjustable shocks, but Dave has figured out how to integrate shock data into a comprehensive tuning strategy that optimizes every variable simultaneously. It's the difference between having sophisticated equipment and actually understanding how to use it at the highest level. The result? Consistency. Dave's passes are becoming more repeatable, more predictable. When conditions change, he knows exactly which adjustments to make because the shock data tells him what's happening with weight transfer and tire contact. That consistency translates to wins when it matters most. In 2025, Dave has been actively posting about appearances and race schedules. He's engaged with fans about where they'll see him next. He's planning, competing, and winning. The YouTube rumor mills declaring his retirement or claiming feuds are just noise. Dave's own channels tell the real story. He's not done. He's dominating. After surviving 2 brutal crashes, how did Dave conquer the mental trauma and fight his way back behind the wheel to win? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.